Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and while you're at it, click the bell to be notified of future videos. This block is called Scrappy Long 4-Patch, or you can just call it a long 4-patch. Here's the diagram, and we're just going to do the same unit 4 times in the block. Here is what 4 blocks look like block to block. We have 2 patches. Neither one of them are standard size. Patch A is a 1" by 6" finished rectangle. You cut 6½ by 1½ rectangles, and you'll need 2 from each of 4 accent fabrics. These are the little frames that go on the sides. They'll just go on 2 sides of each of the 4 patches. And patch B is a 2" by 3" finished rectangle. We cut 3½ by 2½ rectangles. We'll need 8 patches for the background fabric and 2 patches of each of 4 accent fabrics. And these are the 4 patches here. This is easily strip pieced. If you have strips, you can easily make these. You'll sew your 2½ strips together and cut them into 3½ segments to make these 4-patch units. Here are the cutting instructions for each of the fabrics, and these are the piecing instructions. Down here I have a full-size quilt, 60 inches by 84 inches. And when I mean full-size quilt, I don't mean for a full-size bed. I just mean a bigger quilt. So 60 inches by 84 inches. It's 35 blocks set 5 across and 7 down. And here are your fabric requirements and your cutting. For the 4 patches, you'll need light and dark strips, 2½ strips, 18 of each. You can cut these into patches and sew the 4-patch units, or you can use strip piecing. Just piece a light and a dark together and piece them lengthwise and cut them into 3½ segments to make your 4 patches. Here is the frames, the yardage you need for frames. If you just want to make all the frames in one color, you'll need 2 yards total, or 10 strips. And so you can have 10 assorted strips and make 10 different sets. And you'll cut them 6½ inches times the width of fabric. Then you'll subcut them to 1½ segments to get your frame strips. And here is what you need for the binding for that quilt. I have cut patches, so what we're going to do, step 1, we're just going to take 2 of the background patches and 2 of the same color fabrics, or you can go totally scrappy with this and just make a light and a dark and mix it all up. I've chosen to do the background in the same fabric. So we'll sew these 2 together and these 2 to make our 4-patch, press the seams, and then sew the 2 together. And you'll do that for all of these sets of fabrics, and you'll have 4 4-patch units. Next, we're going to take our framing strips and sew them to each side of the 4-patch units like this. And I'm going to put these on. I'm switching them around because I don't want the blues all together, and I don't want the patterns to be the same. So I'm just going to sew these 2 together, press the seams open, and do the same for all 4 of them. Then we'll put the block together. Our framed units are finished. Now we'll just lay them out and alternate the position like this. So the frames are going this way, and here the frames are going this way. And what's good about this is you don't have any seams to match when you're sewing these together. Or actually when you're sewing any of them together now, even when you sew the rows together with your blocks. So I'll flip this over and put my pin here. This is where I need to sew. Then I'll take these to my machine, sew them together, then I'll sew the rows together, and the block will be finished. Thanks for watching.